Hi, everybody in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. The groups of kids you'll notice that are changed a little bit from what I've done in the past. Whereas before I had first, second, third, and fourth grade together for the section that we're doing now with coding or computer programming or computer science, all of those really meaning similar things. I have broken it up so that kindergarten, first grade, and second grade are together, so because they fit a little bit better for this section of what we're doing. Now, last week, I gave you a little bit of a longer video that gave you a whole introduction to coding and talked about it, a presentation, and then some extra information before we started to then go on to a site where we were learning a little bit. Now, for this week, it's going to be much shorter because I'm basically going to say that we're going to spend one more week today on that same website, Kodable.com. Next week, we are going to go to a totally different site, right? Where we're going to try it in a little bit of a different way with different things, still with that same basic topic of coding or programming. But for today, I'm going to be very brief because we want to get back to Kodable.com. And I know I could type in Kodable.com. I could use that page that I put on my teacher website right here, and there's a link to Kodable. When we go to the lessons for each week, here's the link to Kodable right here. Or, last but not least, that website that I try to get kids used to. And if we are back in school with computer class, which I would love and I hope happens as soon as possible, the way that we get to a lot of sites is from our school's homepage, scrolling down, and then going through Weymouth Portal, where you'll see Kodable right here in the list under Computers and Technology. They're in alphabetical order. We look for the K's, Kodable with a happy face next to it, and give it a click. Now, for today, and actually this is going one step further into the site, so let me get to the main page just for if anybody happens to start here. For today, we're going to go get back into it the same way, and I am not going to show you much about how the main section works because you already know from last week. You're welcome to do that. Here, if you have gotten to this page by clicking sign in or log in right here, we want the choice on the right, school profile, and the class code. Now, it's very simple. I have all those class codes written out. If you're in kindergarten, it's Weymouth K, first grade Weymouth 1, second grade Weymouth 2. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a first grader right now and type in Weymouth 1 and then find my name and click play by it. And I'm going to use this sample account right here. Now, I saw in the list that some people had done this enough last week, so they got to the level, and there's a specific part that you get to where you can change your character, your fuzzball guy, right? And you could do that a couple times along the way as you go through the different lessons and different activities. Now, this week, we might see that when we go back into the site, and you're welcome to do this anytime you want, any day that you want, where it's okay in your household to do so, you might find that you get to this different page, right? Where instead of the first time that you sign in, you get to this different page. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to go through those different levels like we started last week, and that's here where it says Mission Control. It also has an hour of code section, and then it does have another section called Home that gets unlocked later. We might not get to that, and if you don't get to that this year or you don't get that section unlocked, it's no big deal. That's after you've been on the site for a while and used it for a good amount of time. But if I go to Mission Control right now, this will see where or this will show you rather where I get back to the main place that I was last week and continue with those different levels. It also has a few different things here that I can get to, and I might mention those in a minute, but the main thing that you want to do is go to play. And that's going to take you back to where you left off last week. And there's these little animations that we do sometimes have to get past. Along the way, sometimes videos will pop, animations will pop up. And with each of them, you can watch them. But if you choose to skip them, you can. And for me, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to skip them. So it's going to bring me back to the different levels that I worked on in the past. Also, oops, I should have clicked that a different way, but also I can continue in those levels, or I can choose to try out a couple of other things. Some other things that you might want to try are in this hour of code section right here. And in this hour of code section, it does have a place where you can build characters. Now, you can't do that before you get past a certain level, so you do have to get past a certain level in order to do that, and it is a little bit more advanced. So for like my second graders, you guys, you might have done it enough where you can get to do that, but for kindergarten and first grade, it would take a little while and it would be a little bit complicated. What is a little maybe more interesting, or something that you would do today that would be good for you, is you can also make levels. I clicked on make levels right here and go to kindergarten. If anybody has ever seen Mario Maker for the Switch, or I think they had it for the Wii U, if you've ever tried that or used that, it would be very easy for you because it's similar, but it's actually much simpler than Mario Maker. But if you've ever heard of Mario Maker, it's a same basic idea where you decide where different things go, you decide what different directions the person needs to go in, and you can make different levels. And last but not least for today, I wanted to also mention something that came up in another screen that you could do in this hour of code section, or you could get to it from the other section in your mission control here. All right, so whether you get there from that main screen or you get there from this mission control section here, beach cleanup is another way that you can play or practice using code.org. And what we're going to do is take a look at it very quickly and see that it is similar to what you've done before, but it changes it up a little bit. And it actually combines a little bit of the level maker plus a little bit of the Kodable levels that you've done before. So I'm going to go and pick the easy version because maybe it's my first time trying it. And what I'm going to see in the easy version is that it starts off with this where there's a grid, all these lines and blocks. And you'll notice that whether it's seals or these penguins or other animals, there's different animals on the beach with some trash around them and a little recyclable symbol. That recyclable symbol you could think of similar to the stars from the other version that you were doing with the maps. And what we want to do is we want to make a path, right? So we're not giving directions right now, but we're making a path that our fuzzball can roll on and cross over or touch each of those recycling symbols to clean up the beach. And finally ending, and this is a really important point, on the right hand column of blocks or the right edge of the map, the screen. So what I need to know is two really important things. Number one, I always need to start on the left-hand side of my screen or in this first column, and I need to end on this right-hand side of my screen or the last column. So to make my path, now some kids could make a really complicated, detailed path to go a lot of different ways. But what you have to remember, or you have to think about, is that after this, you're going to be making your fuzzball go on that path and giving the directions. So a path like that, if you make it really complicated, would take many, many directions. So here, I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go right by clicking and holding and dragging up, left, up, right. Now, I made a mistake, and I'm actually glad I made a mistake. I didn't mean to, but I did. And what it shows you is that there's a way to switch right here to an eraser tool. And now I can just erase a couple of these that I did by accident because I wanted to go straight up right here and my mouse went a little bit over to the left. So I can go back to drawing my path. And this is the last symbol right here that it gets to. But here's the thing. If I go to try this or think that I'm finished and want to try it, it actually won't even let me. See how this play button is still grayed out? Because remember I said our path has to start on the left-hand side of the screen, or the first column of blocks, and it has to end over here to the right. And the very first time I tried this out before, I was going, wait a minute, what is going on? I drew my path, I got to the last one. But what you have to do is you have to get all the way to the right. And see, once I touched rather that right-hand side, that last block that touched this edge, it turned into this checkered like finish spot. Now, once I did that, and as a quick side note, because I wasn't going to go back to this page, you can also change the different colors that you use if you want to. You can click play, and now you can play this level by figuring out what directions the path needs to follow, or what directions the fuzzball needs to follow the path, collect those recyclable symbols, and get to the very end. And there's not only one way to do this. I made my path look like this, but there are other ways you could have made yours, other people make theirs, and that's no problem. And so now, just as we've done before, we think of exactly what directions he needs to go ahead and get to the end. So I just did a right, up, left. That will bring me to here. I need another up. I need a right, a down, and one last right. And if I did that successfully, I click play, and he goes and cleans up that beach and follows his path to get to the end. All right, so this is our last week looking at Kodable. It's a fun site for younger kids in kindergarten, first and second grade to learn those beginning steps or beginning ideas of coding, computer programming, and computer science. So I hope you enjoyed doing that today. We're going to look at a totally different site next week, and hope that you guys really like these different things that we're doing. I'll see you next time.